This perspective is dedicated to Shannon Mays, Heather Mays, and the Mays family.
But at least them dudes was scrapping. You see what I'm saying? Like it was kind of like, hey man, like I'd rather my boy be scrapping and go down than an accident. You see what I'm saying?
Going
Yep.
back to even 2001, I gotta bring this up because I haven't ever been able to talk to anyone in a long time about this. It's about loss, and we lost someone very special that year, and that was Shannon Mays. Do you remember
Yeah,
this
man.
time?
Bro.
What was that like for you?
Yep.
That experience.
That was rough, man. That was real rough, dude. Because obviously, remember Mike? He ran track.
He's
with
from our
you see what I'm saying?
neighborhood.
So
Yeah.
right, yep, he's from the neighborhood too. And then Shannon, me and her obviously went to school. All her pom pom girls, it was all my girls. Shannon was a very close friend of mine too. And it's like that night, and that's why that day was messed up. I'll never forget that because that night, I coming down the street, I see car swerve, boom. I kind of slow down, look, and I'm like, maybe they just kind of bumped each other and went on. And then I see all the lights and stuff going, didn't think much of it. Get woke up because my sister Angie comes in the room and like that morning or something like that. Hey, it was a crash down the street, blah. Did you see it? Because she knew I came up from that way. And I'm like, I think I see something, but it was like in my rearview mirror. Like I was kind of up the ways over there. I just remember like when she said the name, I jumped up in my bed, like, what? Like, hold on. I'm like, I'm thinking, I'm like, man, she should be away at school. Like, then I forgot. I'm like, oh shit, it's homecoming. It's like, and then and then the stuff started hitting, and I'm like, oh. And I just remember, man, one of the things that stuck out about that moment, man, and God rest her soul, brother, beautiful girl. But that funeral, man, like that funeral was, man, it was heart touching, man, because you got to see our community come together, man, in a way that was they really honored that girl, man, and that was beautiful, and it's like that it showed you like the love that her and her family had kind of spread around and stuff like that. But then at the same time, man, like everybody kind of showing up like that. To me, it was like, man, like this is what it's about. You know what I mean? It's like that.
That was one of the
first sucked that we lost one. Yeah, because we lost somebody real young, beautiful person like that, man. Like I said, that hurt a lot of people. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's what I said. Like it was one of those situations where it's like, it does. You know what I mean? It's like it gets you a little bit, man. It's like, and then it's like you start fast forwarding over the years, man. You hear some of the names and stuff. And it's like, it's like, oh man. And I started thinking about all them cool, like a funny, time we had, whether it been on a bus or we was out partying somewhere or out this park or during this game, and it's like, and that's where, like I said, you try to appreciate as much as you can from where we came from, a lot of the people that we grew up with, you know what I mean? It's like, and that's where, like I said, I try to use that to kind of take me forward with everything. Because it's like, man, like,
because for you, it seems like you dealt with a lot of loss, I can imagine.
Yeah, bro.
And how do you process it, Because that was the first time I really experienced like really hard loss. I was sitting at CMU. Someone's like, check the news, and I checked the news, and I was just crying for like 3 hours.
Right.
I couldn't move, and this stupid song was stuck on repeat, and now it will haunt me forever.
Bro.
I couldn't turn it off because I just couldn't move, and so that song will always be like in repeat in my head, and it's like. But Lathell had to deal with loss on this whole nother levels. Because first of all, you have the ability to form bonds, but in the same time, when you form bonds, that means the loss is harder.
It's a lot harder. Yep, it's a lot harder. And that was the crazy part about that too, man. It's like once we got there, so a lot of those dudes, like when I got to basically our infantry training, which was out here in California, so we get the infantry training at the boot camp. Those are the dudes those are gonna be your boys right there. Because like boot camp, some of them guys, they doing different jobs, they gonna go wherever, right?
They're gonna go wherever.
When you go to infantry school, them your boys. You see what I'm saying? Like that, them the guys you finna roll with, right?
Yeah.
So we get there, they're my boys. You see what I'm saying? Like, and we out here in California, man, we wilding. When we was getting our little weekends off, man, we surfing, we up in LA, we down in San Diego. We enjoying life. And then, like I said, we get stationed in Hawaii. Oh man, that was like icing on the cake, right? So imagine we were 22, 23 years old, young dudes, man. Like there was we had a couple old balls, like 27, 28, it's like, but most of the guys was like 18, 17s. We had 19s, you know what I mean? It's like, but dude, that was the time of our lives, bro. Because like I said, we're getting paid. We out here in Hawaii, we traveling over to Japan and Korea and, the Philippines. And all of a sudden, boom, here we're getting ready to go to the desert. But imagine throughout that entire time, like I said, we're training together. I eat, sleep, and shit with these dudes every damn day. I know these dudes' parents, because some of their parents, we live in Hawaii. Parents are flying out all constantly. We seeing meeting some people's family and sisters and brothers, right? And it was so cool because you getting to meet these dudes from other areas, and then like I said, when their families would come out and you get to meet their families, you get close with their parents and stuff too, man, because they looking like, hey man, take care of my baby, because they know we all in the same. Like they know if he out there shooting, I'm right there with him. So it's like imagine like, yeah, I got you, mom. You know what I mean? It's like so. Imagine like these dudes getting married. They got wives. That was probably the second hardest thing out of all the loss that we experienced. Because my unit, man, we got popped out there in Iraq. Like that, we had a real bad helicopter crash where we lost like 34 dudes. Like we had lost like 13 right before that. Like we had lost some during the fighting in Fallujah. You see what I'm saying? But in essence, those are those still sting and they suck, right? But at least them dudes was scrapping. You see what I'm saying? Like it was kind of like, hey man, like I'd rather my boy be scrapping and go down than an accident. You see what I'm saying? And it's like that's what happened with that, and that sucked because that was right at the end. We were almost done within like a day or two. Oh, the number was 50 altogether within about a 6-month time frame. 50 of your friends gone.
It's crazy.
You see what I'm saying? And it's like that's where it imagine, dude, like we took the boat over there. And this is a story. It's hard for me to explain it to people, man. But it's like this is the best way I can explain how I had to eat the loss, right? So you hang out with these dudes, you know them. We get on the ships and we putting over there, right? We in these little racks, dude. We in the berthing. It's just like being in the dorms. Almost like being in prison. You're confined. But man, we in there. But think about it, man. We in there wrestling, watching movies, playing cards, movies. Man, we'd have some sophisticated movie nights. You know what I mean? It's like, but imagine like we know where we're going. And that's where like it was like we used to watch those movies and stuff kind of in school. You know, you see the World War II vets and the people, and I know in some of them kids' brains, like, man, what was they thinking before them ramps dropping and everything just churn them up? And it's like, hey, we watching the news, man. Them IEDs was cooking fools. You see what I'm saying? And we going right to that shit. You see what I'm saying? Right to the heart of it. We putting on this boat, and it's kind of like there. You could see it on some dudes, man. Like they tried to hide it, but like you could see that fear. You know, it was in their brains. They like, shit, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. You know what I mean? It's like I don't give a damn how tough you think you Marine you are, but if you're a human being, it crosses your brains. You know, am I going to make it out of this? You know what I mean? Because like I said. You've seen some of the incidences from that war, man. Dudes was getting popped left and right. You know what I mean? It's like, so it was like, for me, like I said, hey, man, it's this, go. You know what I mean? Like, just put it in God's hands and kind of do your thing, do your training, just go all out, right? Because once I met them dudes, I remember kind of being on the ship one day and looking around going, man, when we get off this boat, I hate that I said this to myself. I was like, man, I wonder how many of us going to come back. Right, because you don't know. And then so imagine we leave, we go, we fight, you lose friends, you hear about it, so it's devastating, but you don't have time to, dude, you can't. Like I remember doing some shooting, and you see a dude just get towed up right next to you, pop, and it's like you look like fuck, my boy just got hit, but I can't. Sorry, bro, like I gotta go deal with this, and then we're gonna come get you. You see what I'm saying? Or Doc gonna run over and deal with you. You see what I'm saying? Like, and it's like there's times like you don't see that dude again. You see what I'm saying? Or like he got hurt and they sent him back. He gone. He out in the fight. You see what I'm saying? And so it was like that right there. Like I said, traumatizing. Because you know your boy got fucked up. He hurt. You're hoping he lived. You see what I'm saying? Like you won't know until maybe later. Hopefully somebody passed that information back to you. Hey man, is he all right? You know, it's like, but that was processing that during the action it wasn't that hard, if it makes sense. Like it was kind of
so intense.
It was so intense, you know what I mean? It's like there was a couple instances where you like kind of like, damn, like that was my G, like wow, you know what I mean? It's like, but then it also made you, hey man, go harder. They hit my dude, I'm gonna get 20-30 of you now because like you got to pay for that. You know what I mean? It's like that's kind of where, right? So there's still like some competitiveness to it too, because like I said, we out there looking out for each other. I'm sorry, whatever you and my government got into a disagreement about, that's not my problem. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's why I used to tell people I was able to kind of disconnect because I'm like, hey man, like it sucks having to do this to people, but it's either me or them. And I like these dudes right here. I like drinking beer with them. And maybe one day we can drink a beer together too, but not right now. You see what I'm saying? So imagine like my thing was it was protected from my boys. And you hear us say it all the time, but it's just like some Saginaw stuff, man. Like I remember talking to some of the boys from Saginaw when I came back, and they was like, "Man, how was it? I don't think I could do it." And I'm like, "Yeah, you could." And they just kind of looking at me like, "Real?" I'm like, "Man," I said, "Just think of it. It was just all of us standing right here in this circle, and we got guns, and we got it. If we don't do it, some of us ain't coming home. You gonna do everything you got." You see what I'm saying? And it's like that's where kind of it was. But then, like I said, as dudes started dwindling away, the worst was that helicopter crash because that was a chunk. And so, okay, and then so imagine when we got back on the boat after the war, the fighting was over. I wouldn't say the war was over, but the fighting for us was over.
Yeah,
that was the hardest thing in the world was getting back on that ship, man. There was a lot of empty spaces, brother.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like that was heavy. You know what I mean? Like that was probably the heaviest part to that entire war. And it was just like, what made it so bad is it was like, oh man, this is just the beginning. We still got the memorial services and stuff. Their families is back home. We got to go see them. They're waiting on. You see what I'm saying? Like that's when the reality hit. Like imagine like when we was in the fighting, it's real to you, but it's right now. You know what I mean? It's like my everyday was right there. And people are like, "Oh, did you think about it? You missed me." Nah, man, I ain't had time for that. Sorry, I love you to death, but
do you even remember it? Like
I remember
going to bed, for example, like each night. Like, okay, I fought today. Yeah. Like, yeah, lost people. Time to go to bed. Got to wake up. Like, you remember each day waking up? Oh wow!
Yeah. And some of those days, man, where it was just like it was draining. You know what I mean? Because it's like imagine that emotional drain. You know, like you've been scrapping. Some of your boys got injured or hurt. You know what I mean, or killed, and it's just like that sleep is different.
That's what I was thinking.
You're not really sleeping. You know what I mean? It one because you're worried, man. If I go to sleep, I could die. You know what I mean? It's like we were house to house fighting out there, man. Like so, it was like it was real. You know what I mean? So it was like.